in the pharmaceutical industry, Mr. Pathak has touched almost all major business functions spanning across sales and marketing, international business, supply chain management, and business operations. Before taking the entrepreneurial leap, Mr. Pathak served as the Chief Executive, Global Formulations at RBG Life Sciences and as Senior Director, Sales and Marketing at Dr. Reddy's. He has well-rounded experience of integrated business value chain, capabilities in unlocking emerging market advantages with rich experience of running business arms in Asia Pacific, Central and Latin American countries, and in Africa. During his professional career, he managed large number of licensing assignments and brought many innovative pharmaceutical products to India through collaborations in Europe and the United States. Over the years, Mr. Pathak has also played several important roles in many industry bodies, and he is currently serving as the Executive Board Member of CII Pharmaceutical Committee. Please welcome Mr. Prashant Kumar Pathak with a round of applause.
If I connect my connections with this institute, then probably it is going 15 years back. The first batch of integrated course of pharmacy and management students, their placement interview I have conducted in this institute when I was in Dr. Reddy's. So I have seen this institution evolving over a period of time and bringing talents to the industry in which I have spent 33 years. Some of them, today I find them to be key thought leaders of pharmaceutical industry. Their tweets are being followed by big entrepreneurs, feel very proud of. Your institute, as well as the institute in which I worked and which helped people to learn in a way that they have not only been professionally successful in making a lot of money for themselves, they have really created path for the next generation. So to begin with that, the topic which has been given to me is very interesting, very close, and which I have been watching personally, living every day, seeing it evolving. I started my career as a medical representative way back in 1984 in a very small town of Bihar called Muzaffarpur, and by grace of God, I have seen healthcare industry and healthcare delivery in a very, very remote places like where traveling was a big challenge. Minimum you will have to walk 10 to 12 kilometers to get an automated vehicle. From that to the best of the institutions of the world in which I had the opportunity to attend programs, participate, and have seen the most sophisticated healthcare delivery places and points. I can visualize how the change has happened in the last 30-35 years with personal experience. And in recent past, how did the automation and technology has impacted and made things easy, made things effective and productive. I got hugely, though I came with a few slides, I'm not a slide person actually. Most of my talk is based on what I have seen, experienced, and I'm more comfortable talking without slides, right? But the whole credit of slides goes to my daughter-in-law, who is a IT lady, who has put some slides based on the thought which I have given her. And most of my learning about automation, technology is by seeing and experiencing, but by talking to my children in the home. I must tell you, I would not have known the world as good as I know today if I would not have been learning from my son. If I would not have been learning from my daughter-in-law, daughter, or my youngest daughter is also studying like you, management in IIM Kozhikode, who is in the final. And I keep on talking to her, knowing from her what she is learning around, and I know that technology and automation is something which is going to touch every one of us. I got hugely tempted to show a 14-minute video to each one of you. And if I do that, then I would not require to speak one single sentence. I can simply walk off, and everything which I want to tell will be known to you. But looking into the time, and as a lot of hard work has been put by my daughter-in-law in putting up this slide, so what I would do, I will speak on this slide, will also show you the portion of video, which is 1.4 minutes, relating to healthcare. And then we'll leave that whole video behind for you all to watch. But we'll strongly recommend that if you watch, you will get to know the right balancing perspective, that technology is not a matter of choice, that whether you will adopt, whether you will not adopt, whether it will impact, whether it will not impact. It is absolutely inevitable, it will happen, right? Because the proposition which it brings is very difficult to deny, right? We have seen when the railway decided to have electronic ticket system, 100 reasons were being put in, saying that it will fail. Okay, now every villager can print a ticket sitting in his village where power comes only for 2 hours, right? So whether we like, we don't like, whether our prophecies would be right or not, but automation technology is here, it will happen, and it will touch every one of us, right? And how it has touched so far will certainly give, though the future is not the extension of past, but there is a huge relationship in between the future and past, okay? So, beginning with the slides, the first slide please. So, facet of healthcare industry is, what is that all healthcare industry is all about? Who are the part of this industry and why? We all know that this is all about living healthy, living long, living with happiness, and dealing with all that what is not a pleasant experience while living is healthcare. Each one of us, this is one industry where every human being is participating. Unlike any other industry where there is a section of people who get involved into, in this industry every one of us, right from the day we are born and the day we depart, we remain the part of this industry. And why it is important? Because human being right from the day one had the desire to live with happiness, pleasure, longer, and the manufacturer of this particular system called human body knew that this system cannot be sent back to the manufacturer for any manufacturing fault correction, right? The God knew that what he is creating cannot be sent back to the manufacturer for correction back. So he has put in all kinds of mechanism there inside to take care of all probable what we'll call breakdowns. Despite that, the healthcare has emerged because we required additional support to make it longer, enjoyable and workable. And therefore, it is for longer life and better life. So these are the doctors and entire set of people, those who are involved in delivering the good health solution are the stakeholder. Each one of us sitting here, each one of us on this planet living is the part of this whole ball game. They are the stakeholder. And naturally, pharmaceutical companies are also a very major stakeholder in the healthcare industry. When I was a representative or even manager and I used to go to call doctors and a lot of patients were waiting outside, patient used to get very angry seeing us, that these guys will go inside the chamber of the doctor and delay our turn to visit him. And out of anger, many times they used to throw words, unpleasant words on us. And always I used to answer them that, look, we are a very important part of the whole game. Because if doctor would see you, he will come to know that what disease you are suffering, right? what treatment need to be given, but ultimately, till doctor gets the ability of touching you and curing you, जब तक उनके अंदर ये क्षमता नहीं आ जाती है, तब तक लास्ट में उनको वही लिखना है जो हम बनाते हैं. And therefore, I am very important part of the whole healthcare delivery, and therefore it is important that you bear with us and don't treat us as a nuisance to the whole system. We are a positive contributor towards your health. So pharmaceutical companies play a very important and critical role in terms of providing good health care. Where did it start? See, human species has been on this planet. We have a lot of statistics, 30,000 years, 50,000 years, 10,000 years civilizations, right? But if you look at the modern healthcare, is not that old, right? 100, 200 years of history you will find. And the effective modern healthcare is not even more than 125 years old. Aspirin, the drug which survived the longest product life cycle is 125 years. So it all started with this Roman system of seeing, observing, and then giving recommendation to today's most modern technologies which we do see in hospitals, capable of treating very complicated disease conditions. Very recently, 7 days back, I have been offered a product developed by NASA, a patent held by an American company, and this device will provide the test report in $6 in 5 minutes by simply analyzing the breath of the person and identifying a stage 1 lung cancer, right? How technology can change things. Lung cancer is generally identified in 4th stage, and then the cost of treatment is 4 times more than that of what it is in stage 1, and the life expectancy comes down to few months, right? And there have been tests. The best of the tests were giving 23% of the false positive report. This has 0 false report. It can be tested in any place of the world. So that is how the technology has emerged and become today. And what is the advantage of all this? The advantage is we are able to live longer. Okay? See, it all started with 30 years of average living. There was a situation in which the life expectancy has come down, 48 to 38 years, because of the evolution of new disease, right? So this all keeps on changing. Coming back to our home, in Indian condition, I will tell you, in 1947, when India became independent, the life expectancy of Indian population was only 38 years. Today, after 70 years of independence, Indian average life expectancy is 68.5 years. So almost 30 long years have been added in between this last 70 years for living. We are living longer. Though we are much behind our neighbors, even Bangladesh is 1 year ahead of us. They are 69, and China is 74. And what is expected globally is going to 83 years when we will enter into the next century, right? It will be average of the world. Average of the world moved from 65 years to 77 years. It would be touching to by 2050, and 83 years in general, people will live by next century. And this is all is guided by healthcare. So you have, what are the current challenges? Current challenges is still there is a use of traditional IT tools. Healthcare generates highest amount of data in any industry for that matter. You put aside, and healthcare data generations, you put another side, it will match with rest all one side and healthcare another side. So it's a huge complex data sets which gets generated, and if it is not automated, if it is not digitalized, then it is high costing and it also adds to lack of efficiency. Therefore, it's not a matter of luxury, it is a matter of necessity. If we want to live long, if we want to have the healthcare becoming more affordable and more available to everyone, there is nothing other than the technology and automation which is going to achieve that goal. So right now this is the most developed part of the world's data. 45% informations are still manual processing, costing up to 90 million US dollar, can be eliminated through automation, right? 2 billion US dollars saving approx by technology enabled process. In United States I'm talking of. India, these numbers you can simply multiply by 10 times, right? Effective means it can help in terms of disease management. 50% of improvement at half the cost can be achieved if things are automated. And use of robotics, which he touched, right? It's a huge change agent going to be in future. And it can provide better patient management, treatment, caregiving, and better monitoring. Look, earlier in surgery, usual term which was being used for good surgeon, कि इस डॉक्टर साहब का हाथ बहुत अच्छा है, मतलब his success rate of surgery recovery will be very high because he is very precision in terms of giving incision. Today, best of the surgeries are being done by robots, and robotic surgery is giving so much of accuracy in terms of delivering that kind of high quality recovery that no one can deny its role any further. So this side you have all the things listed down where we would require automation and which can add a substantial amount of value. And inpatient care, what is very important is starting the story from taking symptoms, past medical history, from which geography the patient is coming. There is a disease called Kala Jar. Okay? It happens only in the districts of Muzaffarpur, Sitamarhi, northern part of Bihar. The patient, if he comes, the Kala Jar patient comes to Delhi, the doctor sitting in Delhi will not be able to diagnose it because he has never seen that disease in his life. There are a lot of tropical disease which happens in India. If same patient goes to United States, with best of the doctors, they would not be able to identify. So a lot of thing is localized, and that aspect also requires a huge amount of data analysis to make it available to anyone in any geography. Past diagnosis is very important. See, health is a subject of continuity. I will tell you one example. I was attending a conference in United States on assisted reproductive system, and a paper was been getting presented that most of the women, those who have uterus cancer, right, at their elderly age, when they are young, right, at that time, if the stem cell concentration is evaluated in uterus, it can be predicted 35 years before the incidence that this lady has the highest propensity of having uterus cancer. Because God knows the genetics very well, and He migrates the entire concentration of stem cells there in the uterus to fight right from the beginning to delay the onset of the disease. Today, earlier this knowledge has not been available, but now with study, technology, and ability to do meta-analysis of various literatures, this knowledge is available, and it can do a huge amount of change in terms of providing preventive cares and interventions on time, and therefore increasing the life expectancy from a very rare disease. Environmental factor, genetics, vitals, all these are taken, and it's very important for good healthcare delivery, and therefore all this is being done manually, is being done through technology which is evolving, but there is a lot of need for future. And therefore, through technological and automation process, what we can achieve is data integration, clinical information, financial advantages, lowering the cost, social advantages, and environmental superiority, and which would lead to action generation that is predictive, that might be in the nature of predictive, who will have the higher propensity of having what kind of disease. Today, everyone knows that if your parents, if your siblings has the diabetes, your propensity of you having diabetes is very high, right? If a lady whose mother had the breast cancer, her propensity of having breast cancer is very high. And what do you do out of that knowledge? You start testing such people quite earlier than that of waiting for the disease to onset and then to treat. And 1 year prior intervention can add 5 years of additional life. And therefore, the predictive is very, very important, inspective, and then lastly, the prescriptive. And this data, this information, this knowledge is not only useful for healthcare industry, for medicine company, for doctors, for hospitals, or for patients. This can also be used by other facet of life to improve and create environment which is positive and supportive for better human life. So the need of automation, need of technology is for moving towards a value-based patient care, which will be reducing cost by removing labor-intensive, redundant tasks, better alignment between different stakeholders, and increased ability of risk mitigation and personalized and precise care and treatment. And therefore, patient-centric care will be the order of the day tomorrow. And therefore, sir, it has been the last major industry where the technology has not touched the way it has touched the rest of the industry which touches our life. So being so important and critical to the entire human species, the role of technology and role of automation has just arrived. And I would like to conclude my talk with a small video. It is a part of a 14 minutes video in which the researchers have talked about what has happened because of the technology. Yeah.
It's the simple stuff. IBM has a bot named Watson. You may have seen him on TV destroy humans at Jeopardy, but that was just a fun side project for him. Watson's day job is to be the best doctor in the world, to understand what people say in their own words and give back accurate diagnoses. He's already doing that at Sloan Kettering, giving guidance on lung cancer treatments. Just as autos don't need to be perfect, they just need to make fewer mistakes than humans, the same goes for doctor bots. Human doctors are by no means perfect. The frequency and severity of misdiagnoses are terrifying, and human doctors are severely limited in dealing with a human's complicated medical history. Understanding every drug and every drug's interaction with every other drug is beyond the scope of human knowability, especially when there are research robots whose whole job it is to test thousands of new drugs at a time. And human doctors can only improve through their own experiences. Doctor bots can learn from the experience of every doctor bot, can read the latest in medical research and keep track of everything that happens to all their patients worldwide and make correlations that would be impossible to find otherwise. Not all doctors will go away, but when the doctor bots are comparable to humans and they're only as far away as your phone, the need for general doctors will be less.
So you have seen how robotics is preparing itself to provide and contribute at a very major level in terms of providing a good health care. So with time I have to set the context, I would also request to play 4 minutes of the video in the beginning.
Every human used to have to hunt or gather to survive, but humans are smartly lazy, so we made tools to make our work easier. From sticks to plows to tractors, we've gone from everyone needing to make food to modern agriculture with almost no one needing to make food. and yet we still have abundance. Of course, it's not just farming, it's everything. We've spent the last several thousand years building tools to reduce physical labor of all kinds. These are mechanical muscles, stronger, more reliable, and more tireless than human muscles ever could be. And that's a good thing. Replacing human labor with mechanical muscles frees people to specialize, and that leaves everyone better off, even those still doing physical labor. This is how economies grow and standards of living rise. Some people have specialized to be programmers and engineers whose job is to build mechanical minds. Just as mechanical muscles made human labor less in demand, so are mechanical minds making human brain labor less in demand. This is an economic revolution. You may think we've been here before, but we haven't. This time is different.
1 minute more. It will give you a context.
Imagine a pair of horses in the early 1900s talking about technology. One worries all these new mechanical muscles will make horses unnecessary. The other reminds him that everything so far has made their lives easier. Remember all that farm work? Remember running from coast to coast delivering mail? Remember riding into battle? All terrible. These new city jobs are pretty cushy, and with so many humans in the cities, there will be more jobs for horses than ever. Even if this car thingy takes off, he might say, there will be new jobs for horses we can't imagine. But you, dear viewer from beyond 2000, know what happened. There are still working horses, but nothing like before. The horse population peaked in 1915. From that point on, it was nothing but down. There isn't a rule of economics that says better technology makes more better jobs for horses. It sounds shockingly dumb to even say that out loud, but swap horses for humans and suddenly people think it sounds about right. As mechanical muscles pushed horses out of the economy, mechanical minds will do the same to humans. Not immediately, not everywhere, but in large enough numbers and soon enough that it's going to be a huge problem if we're not prepared, and we're not prepared.
So, the horses felt that all that hard-working job which has gone because of the car coming in will make their life very happy. But the reality is, when their utility is less, they would come down in number. The highest number of horses on this planet was in 1915. Then onwards, it is all coming down. Right? We have seen the context that the technology and automation is the reality, inevitable, and in healthcare, it is needed. And therefore, I would like to conclude that the need will push a lot of adoption of new technology, and we are not far from. When a country like India will have 100% electronic health record being there in place and prescriptions are generated through electronic prescription process, and we will have the health data very customized for every individual, and the treatment would become from generalistic to very specialized to the individuals. Whole progress is in that direction, and it will ultimately add up to have a healthy, longer life for the human species. Thank you very much. Thanks to the organizers, and thanks to each one of you, and wish you all great success in your life, whatever you do. Thank you.